Hey guys, I am heading out to Prophetstown State Park today to do some bike riding. Difference is, I'm taking my bike all the way there from my house here in Lafayette. It's going to be about a 9.5 mile ride just to get to Prophetstown. So, I'm going to be in some traffic for a little bit. I'll try not to bore you too much with that. Let's hit the road. Alright guys, my lane is coming to an end. That means out on the road I go. I am not too proud to use the sidewalks in busy areas, but now I have no choice. From here on out, it gets more rural and rural. According to my bike here, I've already done 5 miles of all in town, so the next 4 miles to Prophetstown is going to be this. On the road, I'm going to bump up the speed until I can get off of North 9th Street here. Heading over the Wabash River. A quick little view there. Not much I can do at the moment. All right, just about made it to the turnoff to head to Prophetstown. That'll have a little less traffic that I got to worry about. There we go. Right. Uh-oh. Now over Interstate 65. Now going around this aggregate company, US Aggregates. It's a like gravel pit mining company. And someday when they're done mining it, it will be flooded and Prophetstown will have its own lake. Don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime, but someday. Whew. Heading into the meadows and the prairie land at Prophetstown State Park, just outside of Greater Lafayette, Indiana. Hello. I do have a state park pass.
Thank you very much.
Tell me, I know all the paved bike trails, obviously. Are any of the other trails allowed at all? I only ask this because I've hiked this many times and I've had people pass me on bikes.
Yeah. The only one where bikes aren't allowed is if you go back to Trail 4.
Like up on the, in the back.
It's like way back there.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go up on the hill of 3 either, though.
Yeah. No.
All right, that's good to know. I wasn't sure.
Yep.
Good deal. All right.
We're all set to bike on all the others.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a great day.
Well, we're here at Prophetstown State Park now. It's about a 9.7 mile ride from my house. All right, we are at the front of the park. We're heading out on the paved trail here right now. This is kind of a long and skinny state park. It's kind of sandwiched between the Wabash River to the east, southeast, and the bluffs off to the west, northwest here. This was all carved out by glacial water. That is what carved out the channel for the Wabash River many thousands of years ago. So it is very fertile land And up until about 25 years ago, this was all farmland. I used to drive through here and there was just nothing but fields. And there was a long effort to get Prophetstown turned into a park, because this is where the prophet and his brother Tecumseh once lived. It's also the site of the Battle of the site of the Battle of Tippecanoe. I think that was 1812. So a lot of historical value to this, and what the state park has done, the DNR has done, is try to recreate the eastern Indiana prairie lands. Now, it's most likely this was wooded historically, but there were prairie lands in this area. So we're coming up on a bridge here. Well, we're going under the bridge. The county road goes across it. But all those rock in the wall there were all quarried here locally. Just cruising through, listening to all the insects. So we are quickly coming up on the campground. It is one of the most popular state park campgrounds in Indiana. Mostly just because it's one of the newest, less than 20 years old, or right at 20. And it's got full hookups. So all of your people with your big RVs and such, they love it. And they're getting ready to expand. Actually, the little tree line you can see out there just barely. They're going to expand the campground more than double or triple its size, I think. I'm not positive on that, but it's going to be a whole lot more spaces because it's always full. You have to book out months in advance to get a campsite here. So every October, usually starts in September, I guess, and it is September now, they have a big trail of scarecrows here along the bike path. And it appears they've already gotten an early start on putting them out. So that'll be coming up very shortly here. But first, let's take a quick ride through the campground since I mentioned it and it is so popular. I don't think anybody will say anything. It's a, what is today? I believe this is a Wednesday, so mostly a few vacationers and mostly retirees probably in here today. Now, I'll admit, personally, I'm not that big into state park campground camping anymore. It's just kind of a means to an end if it's somewhere that I'm wanting to explore. Personally, I'd rather get out and away from other people, but to each their own. I believe one of the trails heads out this way. There's one off to my left. I believe one goes south, hiking trails. Might actually have to watch my speed through here. 10 miles an hour. One way only to the right. So yeah. Campground host. Firewood for sale. Nice little teardrop. I'll be honest, the first time I came to this campground probably was around 2007. And I was not impressed. That was 18 years ago. But the trees and all have had a lot of time to mature. There's a lot more shade now. A lot more has grown up because back in 2007, this was all still pretty fresh. And now, yeah, it's matured. Looks pretty nice. Now the other end of it down here is a little more open. This area, of course, is made for all of your RVs, your big campers, full hookups. But the next section is a little less amenities, I believe. Still, plenty of room, nice big sites. So I can see some van lifers out here too. That's me, that's my future, van lifing. So I hope if anybody out there wants to donate to my cause, by all means, I'm accepting. Love it, very nice setup. Got some nice shower houses here. You don't see that in the parks very often either. I see a couple of people out here in tents, but for the vast majority, it's all your big guys. And you know, you don't really have to worry a whole lot about dangerous wildlife here in this part of Indiana. You just got some raccoons and possums, deer, maybe some coyotes. I don't know if they would come up in here or not, but they're here. Once in a blue moon, you might see a fox, some turkey. Here's what I need right there. See that full-size ram? That's what I need. Something like that. I could even just build it myself. All I need is the van. Back through the more wooded RV sites. Yeah, this is pretty. All right, let's head back out of the campground, back out on the main paved trails. Well, that's an interesting scarecrow, huh? Some kind of tin man. Just want to point out that Prophetstown also has some of the nicest playground equipment of any state park I've been to. Caden used to love it when he was little. And they have this one here, mostly made of wood, and they've got one almost identical to it in the campground as well. So absolutely beautiful and great area for kids to play. Plants and bugs and flowers and more bugs and some birds. That's what we got out here. You know, about 12 years ago, I had really gotten into photography, kind of the way Caden is now. I had a Canon camera, nice little zoom lens, and that's when I first, I think, truly started to appreciate Prophetstown, because I'd come out here with that camera, and when you start looking at a lot of this stuff through a lens, it kind of changes your perspective. You know, I'm usually out there hiking or biking, looking for the big views, the cool things, and here at Prophetstown, you don't really have that. So it's not so impressive until you start looking for this littler things, you know? And through the lens of that camera, I learned to appreciate a lot of the flowers, a lot of the insects, doing close-up imagery of, you know, everything from grasshoppers and dragonflies and everything in between. It really makes you appreciate what's here a whole lot more. So while it might be kind of a boring place in terms of overall scenery, it's still a great place to get out, get in nature, and get some exercise, whether it's on a bike or out hiking the trails. So out here in this area, I believe they have future plans for building a true nature center. And I think it's supposed to be out here at this end. Right now, all they've got is the Circle of Stones. And that Circle of Stones memorializes a lot of the Native American tribes that came together here at Prophetstown. And you know, there's not a whole lot here besides this and the small Indian village that really memorializes and gives true respect to the natives. So yeah, here you have the Circle of Stones, the Shawnee, Delaware, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Wea, Winnebago, Wyandotte, Miami, Ottawa, Fox, Sac Creek, Ojibwe, Menominee. So there's some of the tribes that this memorializes. We're coming up on the pond. All along that hillside over there is what they call a fen. It just seeps water out into some wetlands, and this is the culmination of that. There's a small earthen dam here. You can fish here, but it's catch and release only. Mostly I see turtles, occasionally some great blue heron. For now, we're going to head out into the distant meadow, Trail 3. Now there's a couple of paved trails out through here. there's also a section of a hiking trail that I've done many, many times on feet, but never on bike. I wasn't even sure that it was open to bikes until today. So let's do that. They've still got some color popping out into this area. See yellows and purples, some reds. All right, we're going to head this way on Trail 3 and do a little off-roading now. And this is why I wanted the Lectric XPeak 2.0 with its 26-inch fat tires. So I had the capability to go on and off pavement. Now this is an area that whenever there's heavy rain, this is often flooded. The Wabash River is straight ahead, and once or twice a year it seems to flood and pretty much turn this whole prairie here. It's one big old lake. But the prairie always recovers no matter what. Of course, this time of year, here we're September 10th. It is quite dry. We're in near drought-like conditions right now in Indiana. Of course, through here, we're right by the river, so this is still fairly lush. Yeah, I've hiked this more times than I can count, but riding it, it's pretty nice. And this is where we enter the giant ragweed forest. And that giant ragweed will grow anywhere, and it grows 10 feet tall. And there's some tall giant ragweed there. I called it a giant ragweed forest down here. Ooh. Yeah, I'm digging it. Just a different way to experience a trail I've done for years. All right, off the bike for a minute. Looks like we're right about 15 miles right now for our total ride from the house out to this point. We're here by the Wabash River, so I figure since I keep talking about it, I should at least show it. Now this section of the Wabash, we're right around the corner from where the Tippecanoe River enters it. So one of the major things that they had to do for infrastructure here was put all that rock along the edge there. Otherwise, this river was probably going to meander way further west there before making that curve. So that's the Wabash. Whee! All right. Into the woodland again. Well, actually, first time, I guess, isn't it? What do you mean again, Mark? I don't know. The Sloan Ranger here doesn't really know what he's talking about. Nice. This is pretty fun. Whee! Oh yeah. There we go. Now we're talking. All right. Not really meant for mountain biking here, but as long as there's no hikers on the trail, I don't see any reason not to have a little bit of fun with it. Oh yeah. Whoop. All right, folks. This is the Tippecanoe River. Straight out that way is where it joins up with Wabash. And upstream there, if you went far enough, you'd end up into the lakes up there by Monticello. So, yeah, nice area. You can definitely see that the water is pretty low because normally this spot I'm in is often underwater. So, oh well, let's go. Yeah. All right, I gotta admit, I've enjoyed this section of trail on my bike way more than I enjoy it while I'm hiking. Now we are coming back out to the paved portion. Here we are. Make sure nobody else is out in here. All right. Now up ahead is Trail 4. And that is where they specifically asked not to bike. So this pavement goes out to a viewpoint over the Tippecanoe River, and that is the end for biking. Now I have seen some people who probably didn't know better continue on. But that's why I asked specifically. I don't want to be one of those guys that just does whatever you want to do, regardless of the rules. I wanted to know. So this is the end of where bikes are supposed to be allowed. And pretty much everything else trail-wise is open to bikes, paved or not. So there's your view again of the Tippecanoe River. I don't see a whole lot of birding action right now, but you know, September, this is about the time that they're all heading south. Which maybe I need to do. Let's head south. Two sections of trail here, they both lead to the same place. I'm gonna take this one just because this little wooden bridge thing is kind of a neat little feature. I'm really honestly not sure why it was built, but it's here, so I'm gonna use it. Off to the side, off to my right here is some of that fen, little wetlands. It's probably semi-dried up now, but it still supports the wetland plant life in there, which supports lots of insects and lots of birds. So bonus, ecology for the win. Right up here off of Trail 3, we've got a little viewpoint with some educational plaques. Kind of gives a little bit of an overview on these prairie lands or meadows. All right, we're back at the little pond up here in the earthen dam. So it's time to head back. Now, I'm not going to go on the paved path we took here. I'm going to just go on the park road, just so I'm not going through the same stuff over and over again, at least for the moment. Maybe further down I might get back on it. Hop back on the path here for a minute. I think I'm going to go off trail one more time for just a small chunk of Trail 1. I've never seen somebody on a bike go through there. So if there's any hikers out there, I apologize. It's probably not something you see very often. But since I got the permission from the person at the front, why not, you know? All right, this here is one of the entryways to Trail 1. I don't think on a busy weekend, if there's a lot of hikers out here, that I would take my bike out here, but here in the middle of a Wednesday, kids are in school, not a lot of people out here, and permission from the gate person saying that I can do it, well, I'm going to do it. Just a little portion of it. So, we're going to go into a small wooded area here. Some of it has been cleared out. But I will tell you, 30 years ago, before this was a state park, this area was a Christmas tree farm. And there are still a few remnants of the old pine trees. They kind of died out because they were, the ones that were still growing, you know, were too close together. So they couldn't really survive that way. And they've just kind of allowed everything to grow in this section, you know, the invasives and everything are still growing here. It's just one of the little areas that they haven't gotten to for management yet. But I'm sure it's in their long-term plans. Now this is a nice ride, but you can see why I wouldn't necessarily want to do this when there's a bunch of hikers in here. It's a fairly narrow section of trail. My bike's a little bit big. I would probably just stop and let the hikers pass. But one of the reasons I prefer hiking overall is just because it's much more personal. You know, riding a bike like this, I'm not going to see the giant centipedes or millipedes walking across the trails. I'm not going to catch some of the wildlife that I otherwise would see, or the butterflies or the weird plant life that Caden always spots. So hiking will always be my first love, but this is all right here just to be able to get out and enjoy it. And we're back. Restrooms off to the side. There's a pavilion up here. Trail 1 does continue on over there by the pavilion and restrooms, but we're just going to hop right back onto the bike path right here. And now we are back to the entrance to the campground. I'm going to go across here real quick and jump back on the bike path, head back the way we came. So this juncture up here to the right is the aquatic center. It is of course closed for the season. I guess it's getting ready to get some upgrades soon too. In the meantime, across the street is the park headquarters, what they call the visitor center. We don't go to it very often. It's really small, but it does have an easy path from there to get over to the Indian village. There's a lot of people don't even realize that we have I'm Prophetstown now, that don't realize that Prophetstown has its own replica of a Indian village. So I am not going to stop there, but I wanted you to know that it's here. Nice little butterfly garden here, circling around. All right, so that is your visitor center if you ever come here and want to see it. So here we have the farm at Prophetstown. This is a legit 1920s fully functioning farm. This pre-exists the state park. This was here already as its own little attraction before the state park was even created. It has a 1920s style house. I don't mean style, I mean it's legit. It's from that era. The barn's from that era. The equipment they use is from that era. Everything inside the house is from that era. So it is a great learning experience for families. Leave off to this side, they've got a blacksmith and such. Yep, here's your blacksmith. Barn restrooms, all right. All right, no bikes beyond that point, so you gotta walk it. White picket fence. You always hear about that being the dream. I believe they sell stuff here too, like farm fresh eggs and beef. And there's all your info. Museums, heritage breed animals, programs, classes, farm to table dinners. Nice. Occasionally they'll do events out here and have a old time festival, I guess you would say. So they'll have a lot of attractions and things that would be fitting for the 1920s. And barn dances and that kind of stuff. So cool little addition to add to your stop here at Prophetstown. All right, I've done about 21 miles now. It's about time for me to start heading back. Got about 9 to 10 miles to get back to the house. I also wanted to point out, I finally replaced my seat here. I got the Cloud 9 Cruiser model, and it is so much better than the one that was on there previously. So good times. Time to switch out cameras and head on down the road. By the time I got home, my ride was just over 31 miles, with 12 of those miles being at Prophetstown State Park. Now I'm not going to lie, I probably won't do that ride from home again, as there is no shoulder on North 9th Street and some cars get way too close for comfort. But the ride within Prophetstown made it all worth it, especially getting to experience some trails on bike that I've only ever hiked before. Thanks for coming along. Till next time, peace.